April 30th, 1945, a date synonymous with the death of Adolf Hitler. But what really happened on that day? In the heart of war-torn Berlin, deep within a fortified bunker, the Führer of Nazi Germany found himself cornered. The Red Army was closing in, and for Hitler, the end was near. These were the last days of Adolf Hitler, days filled with desperation and despair. As the reality of his looming defeat became increasingly clear, Hitler chose to remain in his bunker, the Führerbunker. This bunker, his final fortress, was buried beneath the Reich Chancellery, a grim testament to the collapse of his dreams of Aryan supremacy. On the eve of his death, Hitler made a surprising decision. He married Eva Braun, his longtime companion. The bunker, which had been a command center for the crumbling Third Reich, became the backdrop for their bizarre, underground wedding. The couple then retreated to private quarters, where they prepared to meet their end together. April 30th, the world outside the bunker was in chaos, but within its cold concrete walls, a deadly calm prevailed. Hitler and Braun bid farewell to their staff and retreated into their private quarters one last time. Hours later, they were found lifeless. Hitler had shot himself and Braun had taken poison. Their bodies were hastily cremated in the garden above the bunker, left to the mercy of the advancing Soviet forces. So, Hitler died by suicide in his bunker alongside his wife, Eva Braun. Or did he? The circumstances of his death have been shrouded in mystery and controversy. The lack of a definitive grave, the hurried cremation, the advancing Soviet forces, these elements have fueled countless conspiracy theories. Did Hitler escape? Was his death staged? Where were his remains truly laid to rest? These questions continue to haunt history, adding a layer of intrigue to the final days of one of history's most infamous figures. Now that we've covered the reported suicide, let's delve into the aftermath of Hitler's death. When the smoke cleared from the Führerbunker, the world was left with a chilling void. The man who once held the reins of a terrorizing regime was reported dead. But what happened to his body? Adolf Hitler's lifeless form was discovered by his aides, who were given the grim task of burying him. They hastily interred his body in a shell crater near the Reich Chancellery. However, this was not to be his final resting place. The Soviet Union's Red Army was closing in on Berlin, and with them came a relentless search for evidence of Hitler's demise. As the Red Army seized control of the city, they unearthed what was believed to be Hitler's body. The Soviets were thorough and methodical, desperate to confirm the dictator's death and bring closure to one of the darkest chapters in human history. In their possession, the body was autopsied, and the grim discovery was made. The man who had once commanded an army was now nothing more than a collection of bones and decaying flesh. But the Soviets didn't stop there. Fearful of Hitler's grave becoming a neo-Nazi shrine, they decided to cremate the remains. The body was reduced to ashes and scattered in an undisclosed location. It was a final, decisive act to erase the physical trace of a man who had brought so much pain and suffering to the world. However, this act would only serve to fuel the fires of speculation and conspiracy. The absence of a grave, coupled with the Soviet Union's secretive handling of the remains, cast a veil of uncertainty over the events following Hitler's death. This ambiguity has led to countless theories and debates, each more intriguing and chilling than the last. The body of the infamous dictator was reduced to ashes, but is that the end of the story? Hitler's body was cremated and buried, but where is his grave now? A question that has puzzled historians for decades. After Hitler's demise in his underground bunker, his body, along with that of Eva Braun, his wife, was hastily buried in a shell crater by his aides. But this was just the beginning of a convoluted journey for Hitler's remains. In the chaotic aftermath of the war, Soviet soldiers discovered the makeshift grave and exhumed the bodies. The remains were then moved multiple times, as the Soviets sought to prevent any form of memorial for the fallen dictator. Each relocation was shrouded in secrecy, making it increasingly difficult to trace the exact path Hitler's remains took. In 1970, the KGB, the Soviet Union's main security agency, reportedly exhumed Hitler's remains one final time from a grave in Magdeburg, East Germany. The bodies were cremated and the ashes scattered in the Biederitz River. effectively erasing any trace of a grave. This was done under direct orders from the then KGB chief, Yuri Andropov, who later became the leader of the Soviet Union. However, not all of Hitler's remains met this fate. A fragment of a skull, believed to be Hitler's, has been preserved in the Russian State Archive in Moscow. But even this piece of evidence has been contested, with some experts suggesting it belongs to a woman, adding yet another layer of mystery to the already tangled narrative. This lack of a known gravesite has fueled speculation and conspiracy theories, with some even suggesting that Hitler escaped and lived in secret. While these theories lack substantial evidence, they continue to thrive, largely due to the absence of a definitive gravesite. The location of Hitler's grave remains a mystery, even to this day. Despite exhaustive investigations and research, the final resting place of one of history's most notorious figures continues to elude us, making it one of the most compelling mysteries of the 20th century. With no grave to speak of and questions surrounding his death, conspiracy theories were bound to arise. The enigma of Hitler's death has been a fertile ground for speculation, leaving room for a plethora of theories to sprout. One of the most popular amongst these is the notion that Hitler didn't die in his bunker in Berlin, but instead escaped to Argentina. According to this theory, he lived out the rest of his days under a pseudonym, free from the repercussions of his heinous crimes. The proponents of this theory argue that the lack of concrete evidence of Hitler's death and the absence of a grave are indicative of an escape plot. Another theory that has gained traction over the years posits that Hitler escaped to Antarctica. The proponents of this theory suggest that Hitler fled to a secret Nazi base located in the icy wastelands. This theory, although widely disputed, has been the fodder for many a fictional story and has captivated the imagination of conspiracy theorists worldwide. Yet another strand of speculation suggests that Hitler didn't die in 1945, but instead lived to a ripe old age in the heart of the Soviet Union, protected by Stalin himself. This theory, like the others, is based on the premise that the lack of definitive proof of Hitler's death opens the door for endless possibilities. And then, there are those who believe that Hitler didn't die by suicide in his bunker, but was, in fact, assassinated by someone within his inner circle. This theory, although less popular, suggests that there was a plot within the Nazi ranks to eliminate Hitler. These theories, however intriguing, lack concrete evidence. There are no verified sightings, no definitive proof, and no credible sources to substantiate these claims. Yet, they continue to fuel the mystery surrounding Hitler's death. The absence of a grave, the conflicting reports of his death, and the shroud of secrecy that surrounds the last days of his life serve to keep these theories alive, adding yet another layer to the enigma of Adolf Hitler's death. So, we've explored the events surrounding Hitler's death, but many questions remain unanswered. Let's dive back into the enigma, shall we? Throughout this journey, we've revisited the chilling moments of April 30th, 1945, when Adolf Hitler, the infamous dictator, allegedly took his own life in the depths of the Führerbunker. We've seen how amid the chaos and rubble of Berlin, his body was hastily buried, only to be exhumed, cremated, and scattered by Soviet authorities. We've also delved into the intriguing disappearance of Hitler's grave, an event shrouded in secrecy and manipulation. Even today, the exact whereabouts of his remains are unknown, a fact that has only added to the allure of this enduring mystery. And then there are the conspiracy theories. Oh, the theories. From claims of Hitler's escape to Argentina to rumors of his secret life in the Antarctic, we've touched upon the most compelling and controversial hypotheses, yet none of them have been proven beyond a shadow of a doubt. Despite exhaustive investigations, forensic studies, and historical research, the mystery of Hitler's death remains unresolved. The lack of concrete evidence and the aura of uncertainty that surrounds his final moments have allowed for the birth and growth of numerous theories. Each one, as fascinating as it is unsettling, invites us to question the official narrative and ponder the possibilities. In the grand scheme of things, the death of Adolf Hitler is just one piece of the puzzle in the larger narrative of World War II. Yet, it is a piece that continues to perplex historians, fascinate mystery enthusiasts and fuel debates across the world. So the ultimate question remains, what do you think? Did Adolf Hitler really die in 1945, or are the conspiracy theories true? We encourage you to share your thoughts in the comments below.